Got it. Okay.
Just did. Thank you.
All right, thanks. All right, so my name is Paige Osmond. I'm a senior policy advisor with the Government Affairs team. And the 75th General Assembly is going to convene on January 8th and adjourn on May 7th. In October, the Cell Phone Interim Study Committee did advance 3 bills to the 2025 legislative session. These bills include Bill 1, Single Point of Contact Wireless Services, Bill 2, Wireless Telephone Infrastructure Deployment Incentives, and Bill 3, the Local Government Permitting Wireless Telephone Facilities Bill. So OIT did take a neutral position on Bill 1, an opposition position on Bill 2, and no position on Bill 3. We are just going to continue to follow these bills and engage with sponsors as they make their way through the legislature. And then the Joint Technology Committee, OIT's Oversight Committee, will be meeting on December 16th, 17th, and 18th at 9 a.m. These will be recorded, so we'll provide a link for you if you want to listen in. And we are expecting 3 returning members to the JTC, as well as 3 new members to be appointed to the JTC. The new members will be 2 Democratic senators and 1 Democratic House member. So we'll keep you posted on that. And then OIT is going to kick off their broadband legislative stakeholder calls on Thursday, December 5th at 1 p.m. And they're going to reoccur weekly or as needed throughout the legislative session. Please register for these meetings. We will send out an email for a reminder on this, but it's through Zoom. Please look for the confirmation email and add them to your calendar. This is really a great time for people from all across community and industry and local governments to get together and give legislative updates as well as collaborate. So looking forward to collaborating and working with you on those. And next slide, please. So the Colorado Department of Transportation is beginning a phase of revamping their current Dig Once program. So Dig Once is a federal requirement. It's required by the Mobile Now Act, and CDOT is looking for your opinion on how to make this program more inclusive. The survey does close on December 31st, so please do get your responses in before then. This will be incredibly helpful, not only to CDOT, but also the CBO, as well as this program does impact broadband. And you're welcome to forward this to your peers who may also be interested in providing feedback on this program. So highly encourage your participation in that, as well as appreciate it. And yeah, feel free to reach out to me at any time. We're looking forward to this session and working with you. With that, I will pass it over to Jonas.
Well, thank you very much, Paige. Good morning to you. And good morning to everybody on the call. My name is Jonas Durham, Senior Manager at the Broadband Office. And I wanted to start things off this morning by acknowledging some of the progress we've made towards universal coverage. As you all know, we've got this goal to achieve universal coverage in the state by 2027. And so I wanted to provide an update on some of the progress around those goals to emphasize the incredible work I think that the team is doing and really all of our communities are doing in an effort to meet and exceed some of these milestones along the way. Recently, as of last week, the FCC released their latest national map coverage that shows locations served. And what it shows is that there have been some big jumps in connections across our state, and it highlights some of the milestones that we've exceeded along the way, starting with our households connected. Our target was 94.8% by June of 2025. We've surpassed that already, coming in at 95.4%. And if you look at the rural areas, our goal was 70% by June 2025. We've already reached 75.2%, a real incredible milestone and achievement by the team. And really what this means when we compare it to these latest FCC numbers is that we only have 131,000 locations left to serve. And that is a significant drop when you look at it being compared to the 160,000 that was previously reported. So this progress really represents some strides towards achieving that universal broadband coverage. It reaffirms our commitment to equitable access for all of Colorado, and just really good work across the board. Now, that said, there's still a lot of work to be done. So let's talk about how BEAD is going to help that effort based on the application summary results. Let's look at that next slide. As you know, our BEAD application window has been closed for a couple of weeks now, and the response has been incredible as we go through the data. It really demonstrates the demand and commitment to expanding access across the state. And so I want to highlight some of the numbers behind this effort. In all, we received a total of 185 applications. This is a clear indication of the readiness to address broadband gaps statewide. The total funding requested is nearly $1.8 billion, with applicants collectively contributing over $500 million in matching funds. This brings the total project cost to a staggering $2.3 billion. Really an incredible investment in Colorado's connectivity future. Eligible locations. We received, nearly 112,000 eligible locations. The focus really addressing over 67,000 unserved and 44,000 underserved locations. Really excellent work there. And when we look at the comprehensive reach, every county is represented by these applications. 0 counties without applications. It's really impressive. We had 50 counties seeing multiple proposals and 14 counties receiving at least one. So the geographic reach of these applications and projects are extensive. Who's leading the charge here? Well, we've got 30 entities that participated in total. I think it really reflects a diverse range of organizational types. Notably, we've got non-ILEC service providers leading with 76% of the applications, followed by municipalities, utilities, tribal governments, and other stakeholders, really ensuring a broad representation in the push for connectivity. So overall, these numbers reflect, I think, everyone's commitment to closing that digital divide. And I think with this level of interest and collaboration, Colorado is very well positioned as we move into the next phases of the program. So let's talk about next steps. As it stands now, our team is thoroughly reviewing the applications, and the goal here is to ensure a tailored solution for each community. The process to go through these applications and review them is extensive. So as we've outlined in our volume 2, we expect this effort to take up to 160 days, which will really ensure that we make thoughtful, creative, and strategic decisions. Obviously, there's still a large number of locations on the table that need to be served. So we're going to be opening a round 2 in probably early to mid-December. It'll adhere to the same rules and regulations as round 1. So more to come on that as we finalize the dates and details to support that effort. Next, let's talk about where we're at with our capital projects funds. So as you know, CPF was a grant initiative that awarded $113.5 million to Colorado for projects all across the state. Really successful program. However, there was some additional funding that became available through the program. And so we recently allocated those funds to a project for SCED, Southern Colorado Economic Development District, that will ultimately connect over 1,700 rural homes and businesses in Crowley County. So we're excited about that. I think that these investments really address the critical needs in that part of the state, some of the underserved regions in Colorado. For more details around that, be sure to check out our Advanced CPF website to check on the latest status and ongoing updates. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Brian Martin, who is going to talk to us more about some of the updates around the Advanced State and Local Grant Program that he's been working on. So Brian, good morning. What's going on in your world?
Good morning, Jonas, and thank you, everyone. I wanted to just give you all just a real quick summary of what's been happening here over at CBO's Advanced State and Local Dollars Grant Program. So on November 6th, we launched the comment period for the new program, which now takes over from the Broadband Deployment Board program, which sunsetted on September 1st. CBO has been hard at work pulling together a grant program that kind of opens it up a little bit more to eligible entities and takes this opportunity to try and fund different types of projects based on the requirements which are set forth in HB 24-1336, which was passed earlier this year. So we call this the Advanced Local for short. This is a state program for from the high cost support mechanism that now starts to fund projects in the middle mile area. That accounts for about 60% of our funding. Then the last mile, short-term construction and non-deployment projects. That's about 40% of the funds we have available. So you can find the guidelines and the appeals policy and the comment form on our CBO website. We'd ask you to submit all of your comments by December 6th so we can take a look at those and see how do we incorporate thoughts from stakeholders. But very quickly, middle mile obviously is a new part of the state and local program. Last mile is something that's rolled over from our previous project, the Broadband Deployment Board. And then we've also added short-term construction projects. Those are things like make ready or long drops. Again, you can find all that information in the grant guidelines. And then a new initiative from our side is the non-deployment projects. That includes digital equity, workforce development. So we're very excited to have those available for comment and to sort of launch this program next year. The idea is that since we only have about $14 million, we'd like to sit on it for about a year to make sure we have as much money as possible for the first grant cycle so that we can have the biggest impact. So, yeah, the overall focus of Advanced Local is to try and fill in the gaps left by federal funding or areas that may or may not see assistance in the long term because of the challenges of that project or just the nature of what the project is about. So, again, I welcome any and all comments. We'd love to hear from you, and we'll aim to publish additional final guidelines at sort of middle of December. I do want to add there is a work group that will be part of this initiative, and they will be recruiting for that in K2 and K3 of this year and next. So we'd like to get that up and running sort of by springtime. That is a work group that will help in the review and approval process for these applications. Also, just want to add, the program guidelines does include the challenge policy, and there is a separate appeals policy, so we'd encourage you to take a look at those as well. If you have any questions, my email is brian.martin@state.co.us, or you can reach out to advance_CBO@state.co.us for further information. That's what I have for now.
All right. Thanks, everyone. That is it for the CBO staff updates. So now is your time to ask us questions. You can do that in the chat, or you can come off mute and ask us a question. Beth did drop a question in the chat already. She asked if a non-incumbent local provider is the same as an ISP, which Jonas was referencing that on the BEAD slide who applied, and the answer to that is yes, that's the same thing. So any other questions? Okay, if there are no other questions, we can move on to just remind you of a couple of ways to stay in touch with us. There's that email that Brian had mentioned. You can send us an email with any questions at any time. And then also you can do any of the things on the screen. So there will be another roundtable in January. You can check our website. You can email us. You can sign up for a newsletter, which is a wealth of information on everything broadband, not just in the broadband office, but everything going on in the broadband industry. We have a couple of social accounts that you can follow. And then also we have the articles that we are featured in, or Colorado Broadband is featured in on our website too. Those are often good ways to stay in the know. Before we go, I do see one other question that popped up in the chat. What are the next steps after the 160-day review? Jonas, do you want to take that one regarding BEAD?
Yeah, I mean, roughly then we move into the award process and start preparing our final proposal with the NTIA. So that's, we're looking at probably sometime in Q2 to start talking about awards and getting these grants out the door. Brandy, anything you want to add to that?
Yeah, the only thing that I would add is if we can move through our process quicker, we will. So Jonas is right at top of Q2, but if we can crank it out in Q1, that would be great. But we do have an approval process, so you're right, Jonas, and that's really in the NTIA's bucket for how long they'll take to approve our awards. But they have contemplated fast tracking or creating processes ahead of time to fast track that approval of our final proposal so that we can move a little bit quicker than we have in the past in the program. So hopeful that kind of gains us some weeks back in their process versus add months. So yeah, we'll just stay tuned as we move through the process, but we're trying to move quicker rather than slower.
All right, thanks. Mark, looks like that answered your question. Let us know if you have a follow-up. And then Beth, we see your comment about thank you for the advanced local program. Glad you're excited about it. So more to come on that. We're excited about it too. So thank you for your comments. Anything else before we end today? Okay. Well, thank you very much for attending this call. Again, we will send the slides and the recording out at some point today, but we're always available. So please reach out. Thanks, everyone. Have a great day.